I didn't expect a stranger's routine to become the saddest thing I'd ever witnessed. Every night, at exactly 3:17 a.m., my neighbor stepped into the hallway. Not rushing, not distracted, just standing there, waiting. I moved into Briarwood Apartments in late October. Cheap rent, quick approval, no questions. The kind of place you don't ask too much about. I told myself it was temporary, fresh start, new life, all that. Apartment 2B was mine. 2C, right next to me, belonged to a man named Elias Voss. I only knew his name because of the mailbox downstairs. Faded label, old building, everything slightly worn down, like it had been holding on to stories too long. The landlord didn't say much when I asked about him. "Quiet," he said. "Keeps to himself." That should have been enough. But on my second night there, I woke up for no reason. I checked my phone. 3:17 a.m. And right then, I heard a door open. Not loud, not creaky, just slow, careful. Then footsteps in the hallway. 3 steps, pause. 3 more, then silence. I remember lying there, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself it was normal. People have schedules, night shifts, insomnia. But something about it didn't feel random. It felt intentional. The next night, it happened again. 3:17. Door. Steps. Silence. By the 4th night, I was awake before it happened. Waiting. Which is when I realized something strange. He never left the building. At first, I thought maybe I just missed it. Maybe he went down the stairs quietly. Maybe I fell asleep before he came back. But no, the pattern didn't change. He stepped out, walked a few steps down the hallway, then stopped. Every single night. Same time, same movement, same stillness. So one night, I went to the door. Not all the way, just enough to look through the peephole. The hallway was dim. Yellow light flickering slightly overhead. And there he was. Tall, thin, wearing the same dark coat I'd seen hanging on his door handle earlier that day. He stood under the light, completely still, looking not at anything in particular, just forward, like he was waiting for something that never arrived. I held my breath without realizing it. Seconds passed, then a minute. Then, slowly, he turned his head, toward my door. I stepped back instinctively. I don't know if he saw me, but something about that moment made my chest tighten. Not fear. Something else. Recognition. Like he knew someone was there, and didn't mind. After a few more seconds, he turned and walked down the hallway. Not toward the stairs. Toward the end. There was nothing there except a locked maintenance door and a small window facing the alley. He stopped near it, and just stood. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. He didn't move, didn't sit, didn't leave, just stayed there, like time had stopped for him. The next morning, I asked around. Not directly, just casual questions. "Hey, do you know the guy in 2C?" Most people shrugged it off. One woman downstairs said, "He's been here a while." "How long?" She hesitated. "Long enough." That answer stuck with me. Later that day, I met Tessa. She lived on the first floor. Young, quiet, the kind of person who notices more than she says. When I mentioned 2C, her expression changed immediately. "You've heard him," she said. Not a question. I nodded. "He goes out every night," I said. "At the same time." Tessa looked at the ground for a second. Then she said something that shifted everything. He doesn't go out, she said. He remembers. I frowned. What do you mean? She took a slow breath. Do you know what happened to his wife? I shook my head. Most people don't talk about it anymore, she said. But years ago, there was a fire. Something inside me tightened. A bad one? She nodded. Apartment fire. Different building. She didn't make it. I swallowed. And he did? Yes. There was a pause. Then she added quietly, 3:17 in the morning. After that, everything felt different. Not scary, just heavier. Like the hallway itself carried something unspoken. That night, I didn't try to avoid it. I waited again. 3:17. His door opened. I watched through the peephole. This time, I didn't focus on what he was doing. I focused on how he looked. And for the first time, I really saw him. His face wasn't threatening. It was tired. Not the kind of tired you fix with sleep, the kind that builds up over years. His eyes looked distant, like they weren't fully in the hallway, like they were somewhere else entirely. He stepped out, stopped under the light, and whispered something. I couldn't hear it clearly, but it sounded like a name. I opened my door slightly, just enough. Elias? I said. He froze. Slowly, he turned toward me. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then he said quietly, You're awake. There was no surprise in his voice, just acknowledgement. Yeah, I said. I couldn't sleep. He nodded. That seemed to make sense to him. We stood there in the hallway, two strangers at 3:17 in the morning, sharing a moment that felt too personal for how little we knew each other. Do you do this every night? I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, Only when I remember. That was the first time we spoke. After that, it became something like a routine. Not planned, but not accidental either. Sometimes I'd be awake at 3:17, sometimes I wouldn't. But when I was, he was there. And eventually, we started talking. Not much at first, just small things. How long have you lived here? Do you work nights? Do you ever sleep? He never gave full answers, but he didn't avoid me either. It felt like he was letting me stay. One night, I asked him directly, What do you remember at 3:17? He looked at the end of the hallway. Long pause. Then he said, Everything. The way he said it made me stop asking questions, but not for long. Because the more time passed, the more I noticed something else. He wasn't just remembering. He was reliving. Every movement, every step, every pause. It was the same, every night, like a loop. And one night, I finally asked the question that had been sitting in my chest for days. What happened that night? He closed his eyes, and for the first time, he didn't answer. I thought that was the end of it, that maybe I'd crossed a line. But the next night, he spoke first. I locked the door. I didn't say anything. I just listened. He kept his eyes on the hallway floor. She used to sleepwalk, he said. Every night. Same time. I was afraid she'd hurt herself. His voice was steady. Too steady. So I started locking things. Pause. The kitchen. The windows. Another pause. Everything. My throat tightened. "Was that the night of the fire?" I asked quietly. He nodded. I thought I was helping. There it was, the weight behind everything. "I woke up to the smell of smoke," he said. "I ran to the kitchen." His hands trembled slightly. The door was still locked. Silence stretched between us. "I heard her," he said. His voice broke just a little. "On the other side." I felt something shift inside me. "She was awake," he continued. "Fully awake. For the first time." He swallowed hard. "She was calling my name." I couldn't breathe properly. "What did you do?" I asked. He didn't answer immediately. Then he said, almost in a whisper, "I was too late." After that night, I understood everything. Why he stood there. Why he didn't move. Why 317 mattered. It wasn't about the hallway. It wasn't about the building. It was about a moment. The exact moment his life split in two. Before and after. And he had been living in that exact second ever since. Every night. Without fail. Not because he had to, but because he couldn't leave it. One night, I asked him something I wasn't sure I should. "Do you think she forgave you?" He didn't react right away. Then he said something I'll never forget. "I don't think she had time to." That hit harder than anything else. Because it wasn't about forgiveness. It was about interruption. A life cut off mid-sentence. A moment that never finished. I moved out 2 weeks later. Not because I was afraid, but because staying felt like watching someone drown, slowly, every single night, and not being able to do anything about it. On my last night, I stayed awake on purpose. 317. His door opened. He stepped into the hallway. Same as always. I opened my door. He looked at me. We didn't say much. There wasn't much left to say. "I'm leaving tomorrow," I told him. He nodded. "I know." That didn't surprise me. Then I asked the only question that mattered anymore. "Why do you still come out here?" He looked toward the end of the hallway. Long pause. Then he said, "Because this is the last moment I can still hear her voice." My chest tightened. "And if I stay long enough?" He stopped. I waited. "Maybe one day," he said quietly. "I'll answer in time." I left the next morning. New apartment, new routine, new life. For a while, everything felt normal again. No waking up at strange hours, no footsteps in the hallway, no 317. Until one night, it came back. I woke up suddenly. No reason, no sound, just awake. I checked my phone. 3:17 a.m. I sat there in the dark, staring at the screen. Heart steady, not racing, not afraid, just aware. Then I got out of bed, walked to my front door, and stood there. Quiet. Listening. Nothing. No footsteps, no voice, no hallway. Just silence. I rested my hand on the door, and for a second, I thought about him, standing there, every night, waiting for a moment that would never change. Then I whispered, softly, "I'm awake." Not for him, Not for anything supernatural. Just for the idea that some moments don't end. They stay with us. They repeat. Until we finally find a way to live with them. Or forgive ourselves. I don't know if he ever will. But sometimes, at exactly 3:17, I still wake up. And I still listen.